Bonn Park is supported by Bingemans. For over 80 years, Bingemans has been a Kitchener entertainment landmark and is one of Waterloo Region's premier destinations, owned and operated by 3 generations of the Bingemans family. Back in the 1950s, drive-in theaters were all the rage and offered more than just films. Drive-in theaters are also a slice of nostalgia we could all use right now, during these strange, isolated times. That's why Bingemans on the Grand Amphitheater has been transformed into a brand new drive-in theater this summer, featuring movies on a giant screen, comedy performances, and live concerts. Tickets can be purchased online through bingemans.com/onthegrand. Food and drinks can also be purchased online ahead of time and be picked up at the drive-through snack station. The pandemic has changed our lives in countless ways, but some of the changes ushered by the new reality are welcome, even overdue. See you at the drive-in.
Welcome to Bonn Park.
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 Welcome to Bonn Park. I'm Sara Geidlinger.
And I'm Marshall Ward.
And today we have Sensei Fortunato.
Yeah, Fortunato is a 6th degree black belt and the chief instructor at Grand River Karate, which is a not-for-profit volunteer organization. And they're celebrating their 26th anniversary this year in Waterloo Region.
I loved hearing about the sensei's passion for what he does and how he carries the ideal of the craft into his own life.
Yeah, I think that's what comes across in his teaching. He talks all about, he teaches character building and confidence and cooperation and self-discipline, and you realize how it's so intermingled with everyday life martial arts.
And as soon as we were done recording this episode, he threw me around like a rag doll in the kitchen.
Yeah, he sure did.
Here he is, Sensei Fortunato. Welcome to Bonn Park, Sensei Fortunato. So happy to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I have to say one thing before we start.
Yeah.
I saw your promotional photo.
Yes.
And Marshall, you kind of look like this thing between ZZ Top and Terminator.
Oh,
this
perfect.
It's amazing, and you look like you came out of Men in Black.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, like it's kind of, you're
Thank
feeding
you.
off of that.
We had no actual art direction other than that Sara Flyzik was going to take our photo, and it was a wear whatever you want, but make an effort. That was what we had sort of said to each other.
Yeah.
And we went down to Gowdy's Lane, which has these beautiful murals, and that one's by a muralist named Stephanie Butari. And Sara Flyzik took these pictures, and I was like, damn, that turned out way better than I could have imagined.
Yeah, no, it's really, really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So you have to look like that all the time now,
Yeah.
You can't,
Yep, for sure.
never give it up.
No.
Even when you go to bed, like just all the time.
Yeah, I'm branded now.
Yeah.
Branded for life. So thanks so much for coming out tonight. I really want to know how you and Marshall met.
Yeah. So my family, my wife and 2 daughters, signed up at Grand River Karate several years back. And Sensei Fortunato is the chief instructor there. And Grand River Karate is now approaching 26 years.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the dojo, and that just was such a welcoming, incredible environment, and the people there, and just an awesome, awesome place. And although I've interviewed Fortunato a few times for the newspaper, I'd like to delve a little bit deeper into his journey into karate.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I've ever asked you, how did you even begin and get into karate?
Oh, wow. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that before. When I was around 6 and 7 years old, I was very anemic. I was like low blood pressure. I was really thin. I couldn't focus or anything like that. I remember my uncle used to call me string bean all the time because I was so thin. And I missed a lot of school. I ended up, I had to redo grade 2. And because I was kind of so thin, I started to kind of get picked on. And there was this one kid that just bullied me all the time, like from going home from school all the time. Like he'd be hiding in the bushes and everything. And I told my parents because I was beat up, bloody lip and stuff. And so they told the principal, about this kid, and they pulled the kid in the office. But back then, if a kid like that was called in the office, he's like, now I'm really ticked off. And so I took a few beatings and stuff like that. And I think I kind of put in my mind, I don't want to do that to anybody else. Nobody should be treated like that. And so I kind of became very nice. And so I was terrorized for about 2 years with this kid.
It's a long time.
Oh, I know. It was awful. But one thing I learned from that, I became a really fast runner. I was really fast. And
Not like you needed cardio at the time. But.
No, I know, that's right. It's like, if I see him, should I thank him? I don't know. But, and then I think I just, because of the demeanor that I created, then other kids would kind of pick on me. And so then when I got to about grade 5, over the summer from grade 5 to 6, I grew 6 inches. I came back and everybody was like, who are you? You look like this giant now. And I had a little bit more confidence, and less people were picking on me, and I actually kind of got subtle revenge on them. You can have a conversation sometimes with bullies, and I do not recommend to do what I'm going to kind of say, but I pushed back. And not to hurt, but I didn't push. And then they just stopped. They stopped. Me.
I beat the living daylights out of my bully, and he never bugged me again.
Is that right?
And in fact, a few years later, came to me and apologized for his behavior.
Wow.
Yeah.
What if it's the same guy?
It could have been. Was it Victor Amorum? Yeah. I know you, Victor.
No.
Yeah, I know this is your story, but he relentlessly bullied me for my entire 8th grade year, and I was kind of at that age getting it from everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I remember what he said to me in the hallway after school, and I remember pulling my bloody fists away from his face, and the in-between is gone.
Wow.
So I sometimes I don't sympathize with people when they snap, or when bad things happen, but I relate a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he never bugged me again. I don't say you should do that either, kids. But
no, do not do that, kids. There's something about the snap that's very dangerous.
For sure.
Yes, that fight and flight thing. Yeah.
So be careful how you treat me tonight, because
Yeah, that's right. I try not to offend you or anything.
Or my bully died in prison, so
okay.
someone else took care of him.
Jeez. Well, that's a totally other podcast.
I know that people are going to think that's a joke, but it's not.
No.
Shouldn't be laughing, really.
We're laughing at you, bullies. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're laughing at the circumstance. But so you grew this 6 inches. You kind of got your revenge, and then
and I really, I was a little behind on the mental side, the educational side, and hard time focusing and stuff like that. And I started to really get into sports as kind of a makeup for that. And really got involved with, track and other sports, basketball and things. And the one thing I did that was interesting, because I think I was more attracted to individual sports. I played team sports because they had them at the school. But I got into fencing, sport fighting, and I did that for 4 years. And I really enjoyed that. And but then our coach left, and I had nowhere else to train. So after high school was done, I was looking for something interesting to do. My brother was taking karate with a friend of his. And it was kind of like the Bruce Lee era, in the 70s. And once in a while, he'd take me into the basement, and he'd show me some moves, and he'd go, do something back. But I'd kind of jump at him like I had a sword in my hand, and he'd go, no, stop doing that. It's like this.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I was talking with, he gave it up after he got married, had kids. But his friend stuck it out, and his friend ended up becoming the main instructor at this club. And I had a conversation with him, and after high school, most of the sports were done. I was playing some industrial volleyball for a little bit, but I was looking for something to grab onto. And I said, I'm going to try this out. So I went with a buddy, and we tried it out. And it was at Hitoshida's martial arts in the basement of Waterloo Square. And in that dojo, they had judo. They had all kinds of different arts in there.
And it was called Hitoshida's?
Hitoshida's.
Like we had a jeweler by that name.
Frank
on the corner of King
Hitoshida.
and Herb, yeah.
That he owned the jewelry store.
Okay.
Frank Hitoshida was a high-ranked judo man, one of the highest ranked in Canada, and same with his brother, who lived out west. His son, Roman Hitoshida, I think he was in the Olympics.
Wow.
He had very good students. Roman Hitoshida now owns Hitoshida Martial Arts Supplies, which I think is international, and he operates on Marshall Avenue. Or I think he just recently moved, but
so this place was in the basement of Waterloo Town Square, like by the bowling?
Because we go for beer Thursday nights at the bowling alley. Yeah.
And that pet and hobby store.
Was a pet and hobby store down there?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? I have questions.
Yeah. That's another.
It's another
podcast,
episode.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you are at this dojo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had my first class there, and I was hooked. And I said to my friend, "We got to come back." And he's like, "Nah, it's not my thing." And he didn't do it, so I stuck it out. And I just since then I still enjoy it just as much. I don't know, and I can't put my finger on it. I sometimes think when you got something you really enjoy, you're really passionate about, you can't put it into words. It's not right. You just go, it just feels right.
Yeah.
Everything just feels right. So yeah, that's kind of where I started. My teacher there, his name was Jake Klaus, and I was with him for 14 years. And I can't remember why, but they closed that facility down. Had taught Frank Atashita's top student, Wayne Erdman, open up a new location, and Wayne was good friends with my teacher Jake, and so the place moved around a little bit, and we were over on Weber Street. We were in the basement of a lot dealership, which was interesting.
So a dojo can be within any space, really. Is that right?
Pretty much. Yeah. If you look
Mm-hmm.
back in Okinawa, sometimes they're like really tiny rooms
Yeah.
on the side of a house, or just like very, very small. So we trained there, and the club there was very tournament focused. And I didn't know anything else. It's just, okay, this is what we do. And so we traveled quite a bit to different cities, competing. And we had a blast. We had so much fun. And Jake was just this really encouraging teacher. And he just put his heart into his students. He wanted them to be the best they could. But yeah, we'd travel into the States and way up Espanola. There'd be some weird tournament up there. We'd go up there. We'd go into Quebec. And so we compete in sparring, which is point fighting. And then we compete in the dance forms, kata. So we would do that. So I did a lot of that in the 80s and the 90s. But then I decided to get out of the competition thing, and I went more traditional, which is very different.
And what does that mean for those of us that don't know?
Sure.
Going traditional.
Well, sport karate is like any other sport. It's a competition, and your goals are driven by winning. In traditional arts, it's more about, I believe, improving the individual. And in sport karate, or like in any other competition, there's a lot of, I won't say stress involved. And as I got older, when I can't do this forever.
Right.
And you start getting all these trophies, and they become dust collectors and stuff. And I ended up giving all my trophies away to the Special Olympics. But once in a while, I'd see a traditional martial artist. They would just pop into a tournament, and then you wouldn't see them again. And I was just impressed by the way they moved and their demeanor.
Kind of like enigmas that would come into this high stress
Yeah. And they just looked calm, and their motion was amazing.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah. I want to be that guy. And then where did he go? He's gone now, He's
gone.
And so I'd see these guys once in a while. And then my teacher decided he wanted to just close shop and kind of move on in life. And so myself and some of the other black belts back in the mid-90s said we should keep it going. And, we were kind of at an age where we didn't want to compete so much, and we wanted to get more into the traditional stuff. So we started to seek that out. And I would say we were doing a martial arts style that was kind of like a pizza with a lot of toppings on it. We, try a little bit this, try a little bit that. And it was fun, but there was really no focus. So I decided, you know what, I got to keep myself interested in this, or else I'm going to give it up. And then the bullies are going to come back at me. So anyway, I started to travel around training with different masters. I just kind of seek them out. And I was also looking for an association that we can belong to that was supportive. And one of our students came back for a visit. He had moved. He came back and said, yeah, I'm training in this style, and this teacher is coming to town to do a seminar. And I went, oh, okay. And then he started showing me some of the applications. Like we had these forms, these katas, and he was explaining what some of those applications were in the forms, which I never knew. Most of us didn't know. And I went, this is really cool. This is really well thought out. And so I went to the seminar, and the teacher's there, his name was Sikichi Iha. He's now 88 years old.
And I read in Marshall's article there's a special name for an 88th birthday. Does either of you remember it?
Yeah. Takachi.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, And he still kicks my ass. Like he's so good, you know. You attack him and you're on the ground and you don't know how you got there.
Oh,
It's
that's
just he's invisible. But
he's one of these enigmas. Just kind of floats in, kicks your ass, and floats out.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Forge, I've heard you say that before. It's hard to believe, you know, in terms of how youth and strength can still be outdone by somebody of that age. Is that really how it works?
Yeah. Well, like maybe later on, you know, have you attack me and we'll see it. But, no, because it's very technical, and you practice these body motions over and over again, efficiency around body motion, and you just kind of know what to do, how to stand, how to position yourself, how to relax, when to apply the power, when to take it away, how to meet power, how to match it, how to spring off of it. Like there's all these little things that happen. And
I'm
so
picturing the Matrix with Keanu Reeves with the deadpan face, just like moving his arms all around.
And Iha Sensei is a 10th degree?
He's the highest ranked in North and South America, Okinawan master, which is the birthplace of karate. Like he's the guy. Yeah. But he's not out there. He doesn't like being out in the public much. Like people will try to interview him, put him in magazines and stuff. And he's just like,
wow.
He's not really interested.
Which makes him even cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think does he have a red belt? Have I seen a picture?
Yeah.
It was a red belt.
Yeah, in this style, it's 10th, 9th and 10th is a red belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I remember somebody tried to interview him, and they said, you know, tell us about Okinawa, you know, this mystical place, Okinawa. And he says, yeah, they make good noodles. You know, he just...
So casual.
So, yeah. But and he's just a really good teacher. And so what attracted me to this style was his message. So like in my daily life, I'm a brand coach. I do branding. And I'm always working with clients on coming up with a powerful story and a powerful message that impacts your culture and your ideal clients and so forth. And I come across this guy who keeps talking about friendship, cooperation, and learning. Like he says it every time. And so... you know, you've got human beings that are interacting with each other that have all these personalities and so forth and strengths and all this, and there could be conflict. But he just always brings people back to why we're doing this and the importance of it. And to the point where the requirements, the foundation or the message is built into how we do the requirements. So in order for cooperation, we do a lot of partner work. And when you do partner work, you have to look after each other. And when you look after each other, you learn from each other. And so, onegashimasu, we say that when we are with partners, which means please teach me. So I could be with a beginner and I would say onegashimasu, because I would learn from that person too.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it just becomes part of what we do. But what I like about this style compared to anything else I've done, I wouldn't say it's not particularly a beautiful style to watch, like compared to like some of these beautiful Chinese styles. Like to me, all martial arts are amazing and I love watching them all. But his motions are so refined and so small, and he's still refining them and he's still coming up with stuff for us to practice like all the time. They're like Einstein formulas, you know. You look and you go,
why didn't I think of that? Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going. It keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And so the learning never stops.
It's making me think of like a very talented, powerful, gifted musician.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah. And they don't care about the publicity. They're more about
the art,
perfecting the art
all
the time. Yeah. So he's a very quiet, humble individual. So anyway, so our club now, it's a not-for-profit, it's all volunteer. So we all have jobs that we're doing okay at, and we just want to, I guess, kind of give back to the community. But I think the one thing we wanted to do, and which, your family experienced, is that we wanted to create a family bond so that the kids are training at the same time as the parents. Because a lot of times parents are sitting in the bleachers. On the phone,
Yep.
or yelling at the kids on the court or the referees, you know. Comments from the bleachers. So how about you get on the court and play the game? And it's interesting to see the learning dynamics. The kids catch on really fast.
As
the
kids
parents,
do.
yes. And parents, they're like, they want to know how to do that one little tiny move and just want to keep practicing. So sometimes the parents are better technically because of the way they think, but they can't remember all the stuff like a whole kata, where the kids will just they're like sponges. So sometimes the kids are teaching the parents on how to do stuff. So
I think senseis have to be very well rounded too, especially ones who work with kids. Sometimes a kid needs a timeout too, right?
Yeah. Yes. And so I've made a lot of mistakes in my past.
We all have.
We got some really good teachers at our club, like Sensei Torsten. He's amazing with the kids, and Sensei Bob is amazing. I don't think I'm actually as good as those guys with the kids. I like teaching adults, but I still love teaching kids, but they're better at it.
Yeah, incredible patience.
Yeah. And so when kids are, maybe you say consider misbehaving, we have to kind of know why. A lot of kids, they've got ADHD, Asperger's, and all this stuff. I don't even know what a normal kid is anymore. I think it's kind of rare. Like when we have
anything is normal.
when we have a normal kid come to the club, it's like, well, you're boring, there's no challenge here.
Yeah.
We're just there.
Yeah.
Because some of these kids are like they're looking around, their concentration, but that's because of their situation or their condition.
Yeah.
And so if you get angry with them or stern with them, it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
And then if you get frustrated, everybody picks up on it, and then everybody has a horrible time. So there's a lot of acknowledgement. So when they do one thing or one little thing right, it's like, hey, that was awesome, fantastic, good job. And if they get a little weird here and there, it's like, just let them do it. Just let them have fun and stuff.
I really valued the lessons you were teaching them. I remember one specifically was, I liked how maybe we're talking about keeping your head up, right? And not just in this dojo, but in life. When you walk around the streets, keep your head up, look around, be aware of your surroundings. Yeah. So the lessons you're teaching them in that dojo, I think, apply very much to... Yeah,
it's funny how a little thing like that can have an impact. We sometimes don't even know the impact we have. Like, we actually don't get a lot of acknowledgement. It's just, we teach, and that's what we do, and then we go home.
The thankless job, right?
Yeah. We don't really think about it. We're just kind of doing stuff, and we're just kind of committed to it. But that's an interesting point. I had one student come in and was looking down all the time. And so normally you would say, keep your eyes up. But if they have a problem keeping their eyes up, and you keep telling them, keep your eyes up, it's almost like they're saying to themselves, I'm wrong.
Or what's wrong with me? I can't keep my eyes up. Like it's a spiral then, right?
Yeah. And so you try different things, and then you just keep trying different things, and then you hope one of them hooks. So I said to them, when you do a block, that's a technique. When you do a kick, that's a technique. When you look up, that's a technique.
Oh, great.
Relate to it like a technique. And the next day, eyes are up like 90% of the time.
Wow.
So, but you don't know when it's going to click. You just keep trying stuff. And that's the reward. If somebody acknowledges me and says, you're doing a great job, to me, that's not really the reward. The reward is when the person says, I got it. I think I got something out of this.
Or you see it yourself. You're like, wow, they've got it.
You got it. So, it's not about me. It's about what they're achieving. So
when you're talking about keeping your head up, when your girls were taking the lessons, is lessons the right instructions?
Yeah.
There's a word. What is it?
Lessons.
Okay.
Karate. Yeah, lessons.
Yeah. Is that a self-defense part of it? Is that where you were getting that part from? I used to have a friend that would tell his young daughter, walk with purpose, because she had to go from A to B on her own, right? Walk with purpose, keep your head up, beware of your surroundings. And I used to try and remember that. Oh, damn, like I'm 10 years older than her. I should try and remember that for myself. I might be 20 years older.
That's exactly right, Sarah. I guess what I'm saying is there were so many lessons that I would overhear that had to do with avoiding situations. Find creative ways to not get yourself into a physical situation.
Yeah.
But if you do find yourself in one, here's...
Absolutely being aware before it happens.
Yeah.
Like preventative.
There's this thing in karate where, you keep your eyes up. Then the next thing is that if you put your hands to your side of your head and you move your hands back, how far can you see? Your peripheral can go pretty far. And so then it's like really be around of your surroundings. And your peripheral picks up movement and catches things. One of my passions is photography and photographing birds. If I look straight I may not see it, but if there's a bird off to the side fluttering, my eye will pick it up. And it's the same with awareness with karate. And then there's seeing with your body. So when somebody touches you, like grabs a shoulder or whatever, you can kind of tell what hand it is, and your body reacts to the situation, whether it's from behind or whatever. So it's like you're seeing with the feeling of your body, which is more advanced. But we do what's called bunkai. So we do a kata, and the kata is fighting several people in your mind, and then we put those people in those places, and it's a routine, and so they're all coming at you from different angles, and you have to react. And then that's when you start working on the peripheral. And then from there, as you keep advancing, and if you're conscious of it, then you start kind of using your body awareness. So
I think about efficiency in the dojo. All the movement to me is something really beautiful, as a complete opposite of like if there's somebody was to capture a schoolyard fight, it looks like garbage, right? It just doesn't, nothing about it makes any sense, the way humans flail and hit, right?
Yeah.
And looks like there's nothing wasted in your dojo.
Yeah, it's small. I'm not saying that we're like superhuman or anything like that, but we're better.
But you might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've really never been in like I've avoided confrontations and stopped confrontations, but like I had a couple, but nothing really I don't want to brag about those.
Do you mind bragging about give me your resume in a nutshell? You're a 6th degree black belt, but you also in other martial arts you have. Yeah, so I started in a Chito-Ryu or a version of it, and I got my 3rd dan from there, and then I went to another association and got a 4th dan from there, and then in this association I had to go redo 3rd dan and then work my way up to 6th. I'm presently 6th dan, and for me to go for my 7th I have to wait 7 years. For 8th dan, 8 years. So I may not make it. Right, and you're
wow.
Are you 60 now?
I am 60.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought we established that you were 26
Thanks.
when you sat down.
Thanks for bringing that up, Marshall.
You do not look 60.
Well, thanks.
No problem.
I remember also what you talked about was something you really liked about the style was maybe not low impact, but less impact than other styles you've seen. The karate style, like not as hard on the knees, maybe.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, it's more around natural body motion, working with your own body capabilities and maximizing on that. Where I find, and there's a lot of martial arts out there, you're to have a powerful technique, there's speed, there's strength, you got to move from one stance to the other quickly. Maybe you have to do spinning kicks in the air and things like that. They're great when you're young, but as you get older, it's hard on the joints. Where I find this style, it's about natural motion, like running, natural motion. And I've found actually that my pains have gone away training in this style, that it's much healthier. So a lot of our masters, like in Okinawa and even in here, they're in 80s and 90s and they're still going at it. So that's another thing that attracted me to it, is that I want to do this, for a long time and then stay healthy.
The secret to a long life.
And that's self-defense. Yeah. If somebody's trying to harm me, I want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. And also preventative. Like
don't affect my health.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell us about Japan. How many times have you been in?
Yeah.
So I've been to Okinawa twice.
Yeah.
I was there this summer. It was quite an experience going there this summer.
What are you looking for when you go?
The first time was karate. This time was more the culture and a celebration. So we celebrated Sensei's 88th birthday there because it's a significant age. Prosperous, happy.
Right.
And so he's well known in Okinawa. When he goes there, they listen to him and teach me. So we went there, had this massive celebration, big banquets. They brought in masters from all these different styles to come in to teach us. But one of the cool things is there's this World Heritage site called Shuri Castle. It was built back before the 1300s. And there's a famous photo amongst martial artists that was taken back in 1938. And there's about 150 students on the grounds in front of the castle, and then there's this pedestal with this master standing on it, directing them. And that master was my teacher's teacher.
Wow.
So he said, I want to simulate that.
Like recreate this photo.
Oh,
how beautiful.
So so they talked to Shuri Castle and said, this is what we want to do. And they said, you can't do it. We've got all these tours. You can't do it. So he says, we're doing it anyway. Flash mob. So.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, it was so cool. So like we're rehearsing
like,
it.
Sneaking.
Yeah. So we're like rehearsing it, and like we all have our numbered spots where we're gonna go and everything, and getting and sneaking in as though we're not in full gear and all this. And so we get on the grounds and we're.
So like everybody buys their ticket to the castle, and
yeah, they brought like a group ticket.
Right.
It's all organized, so we all walk in and we're all kind of pretending we're just kind of looking around. But the guards are like, "There's something going on here," and then we're told line up. So then we all like perfectly we line up like within 15 seconds. We're in line, and the guards are like, "What are they going to do?" Right. Yeah. So, but the guards kind of knew what we were up to because they know about the photo and stuff. And then the head of our, who organized our association, Sensei Mark McLeod, is an amazing guy, talked to them. Saw him talking to them. I know exactly what they said. And they just said, just hurry it up. Kind of gave him a time limit. So we did all the shots. And we wanted to do more, include some of the international clubs, but they said, stop. Yeah, stop there. But we got the shots.
Oh, that's great.
So we made for martial arts history.
Yeah.
The horrible thing is back in October, the building burned down.
Oh my gosh.
The whole thing.
And this is after you've created your photos.
So we did it in August and it burned down, I think, in October.
I'm so glad you had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. But hearing about that was like a kick in the stomach.
I can imagine.
It was awful. So there was a short in the alarm system or something like that. The whole place is made out of wood, like beautiful sculptured wood, and it went up. But I hear the Japanese government's pitching in about $20 million to rebuild it, but it's going to take a long time. 20 years or something like that to rebuild it again.
It'll have to be accessible. It'll have to be all that, it'll have to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Fortunately, when you're all on the plane, all you black belts, does that ever cross your mind that if someone tries to pull something,
can you imagine
it's
that?
kind of like you picked the wrong plane.
Like that. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's almost like you're hoping for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's like that scenario that like, can someone fly this plane? And it might be you. But
yes.
Yeah.
And there's one thing you should never do is like a stewardess or should not try to wake up a martial artist when he's sleeping. A friend of mine was going to a tournament and they went to put a pillow behind his head and the stewardess got suckered in the eye. So anyway, but
don't touch a sleeping person.
Don't touch
they could be
sleeping martial artist. You never know.
6-degree black belt. I say right?
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe I'm going to ask you a question here, and maybe you couldn't care less about what I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
But so you're obviously aware of how popular mixed martial arts is in the world, right? In UFC and that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know a lot about it, but I do hear things like, an amateur wrestler against a boxer.
It's not as good as WWF.
Right. Of course not. Pampero Firpo recently passed away,
no
by the
way.
way. Yeah, that was a wrestler that you knew.
Yeah. You're really into that. I used to read all those old magazines at the dojo.
Used to.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, you still do? Yeah, of course.
Every day of my life.
Yeah.
But with regards to mixed martial arts, so, I'll read stuff and I'll say, like, a boxer doesn't have much of a chance against an amateur wrestler kind of thing. And all these disciplines that come into it. Do you know where karate stands when it comes to, you have judo and you have, I can't even name them all.
I have a friend that does competitive kendo. I don't know what
that's that's such it's a tough
stick and a mask.
question to ask. I remember a teacher telling me about, I just use this as an example. It probably wasn't true. There's 3 martial artists, a judo guy, a kung fu guy, and a karate guy got in a fight. And the judo guy beat the kung fu guy. The kung fu guy beat the karate guy, and the karate guy beat the judo guy. So I think it gets really down to the individual. When it comes to mixed martial arts, man, I love watching it. And people are like, hey, I want to do that. But you got to remember, you're going to be in the receiving end of that stuff. And when I was younger, one of my teachers said, you ever thought about getting into kickboxing? And just my personality, I'm more of a kind of a passive person, even though I got hooked on this thing. I don't want my face punched in. I just don't.
Yeah.
But, I like mixing it up. But on an ongoing basis, for me, it's not healthy. That's why I'm doing this style. so I don't, have to have all kinds of surgeries and broken things. And
There has to be an element, like for a kickboxer or a mixed martial artist or whoever,
Yeah.
there has to be an element of being cool with getting kicked in the face.
yeah, some people love it. Like,
Like
they like getting their teeth
enjoying
knocked
it,
out.
yeah,
And they're driven by it. They're like animals. And I get it. I get it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of too logical. Of course, there's money involved too. They're making some good. Some of them are making some good cash. But like I said, I love watching it. But the more aggressive martial arts, if you want to get into that, just remember you're going to be in the receiving end of it. And so, like, how would I do against a mixed martial artist? Maybe that's the question. I have no idea. I'm not interested. If I were to get together with a mixed martial artist, I would say, let's teach each other. That would be my focus. I don't want to do a competitive thing. I used to do that, and somebody ends up upset afterwards or whatever. But I, like to learn from each other. That would be. And mixed martial arts, like some of it's extremely technical. Like some of the things that are doing, it's amazing how technical they are, and
all
where
the
they've taken
submission
it.
moves. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like it's like a game of chess. And I think what we're doing is similar too, but they're great from ground and picking the best of everything and getting. I'm talking about high level, getting the best trainers and everything, from diet to working your mind and everything. So.
In your own dojo, so somebody makes it all the way up to a brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
Are there people who simply, for whatever reason, cannot get to that black belt? Does that happen?
There must be.
I think it's more probably around third degree, where they go, if you've got you're not able to take the requirements to kind of a master level. That's as far as you're going to go.
Yeah.
Because
when somebody's at a brown belt, they've already dedicated a ton into that.
Yeah.
And they must want it so bad.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can get people to do it. There's people at a club that have had some health issues and ailments, and you think that's just not going to happen. But when they persevere, they find ways to make it work. And particularly in this style, it's like if you can find to make it work, that's good, because it's all about making it work within your limitations. But some of these people just blowing my mind. You think there's no way they're going to get a black belt, and they do. We've got one girl right now, Trisha. How's it going? She's testing for her black belt right now. Her and her daughter, they've started together.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and her daughter's 16 or 17 now, Megan. So they're just going through the process of testing.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah. Amazing people, and they help out a lot at the club and everything. But to see it's interesting when you say, okay, we're going to work on preparing you for a test. How much they learn in that period of time, because there's a goal in place, and to see what Trish and Megan have done, particularly Trish, because of some of her health issues, it's blowing my mind. And so one thing I always tell the members at the club is to treat every class like a grading and every grading like a class. Take the stress out, but just go into class to just kind of give it your all every time. And Sensei says every day make better. So the students that come in and you give them a tip, and we always try to just give like one or two tips to not overwhelm people and just work on that. Sensei, when he trained with Gusakuma, that was that teacher in that picture, it would take Sensei a long time to get to that dojo, and it was like a small little dojo. And Gusakuma was like exceptional martial artist in Okinawa. And he would teach Sensei something and go home and practice it. Don't come back until I see improvement. And so we don't go quite that there, but we communicate that. Like, if we're showing you something, a lot of your training is at home. You
Right.
go and you practice it, and you do it over and over and over again. Unfortunately, humans are, the only way we learn is by repetition in anything, right? Whether it's mental or whatever. And the one thing I like about our art is that Sensei really challenges our mind. Like, there's a lot of memory work. It's a ton. If you just want to go somewhere to work out, then go to a fitness club. But if you want your mind to be challenged, and you're challenging your mind and body at the same time, that connection, I think, is really, really healthy. And so with health, with karate, you're working on things like relaxation. You're working on strength. You're working on flexibility. You're working on speed. You're working on awareness. Like you're doing all these things, efficiency,
Patience.
patience. Yeah. And what a great formula for a human being to have to practice every week. Like it just keeps you, sharp. My wife would say, I don't think you're that sharp, Forge. But
Now, wait a minute. I heard when I was asking you how I should address you when you came here that she wouldn't be calling you Forge.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was saying that my name is Fortunato, and my parents called me Nato, Fortunato. My friends call me Forge, and my wife calls me Bill.
And where did this originate?
Yeah, we go to restaurants, and they'd say, what's your name? And I go, Fortunato. And they go, what? And she goes, I just call him Bill. Yeah. And then it stuck.
It just stuck. I love that your nickname is, you have such a beautiful name.
I know, she just
destroyed
it, and I have to live with it.
I never heard your name before. I don't know anybody with that name.
I'm the only one in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just me.
Your whole name was a difficult one. It's as difficult as like a kata to learn.
Yeah, yeah. It almost sounds Japanese, eh? Fortunato.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost.
Yeah, if you say it that way. Say your whole name again.
Well, with my kind of middle name, it's Fortunato Michelangelo Restagno.
Yeah.
Or Bill.
Or Bill, for short.
I don't know much about your day job.
Neither do I.
I've seen you in Uptown Waterloo with like a suit on, like looking pretty sharp.
Yeah, I just like to look sharp, walk around. Okay, I'm going into Starbucks now with a douchebag.
You don't wear your gi? Is that what it's called?
No. I do have a story about wearing my gi out in public.
Yeah.
I'll tell that first, and then we'll go back to my job. I had to pick my son up after karate. I didn't have time to get changed, so I left my gi on, which is bright white. And I'm driving home. I live out in St. Agatha.
With a black belt.
Yeah, with a black belt.
Multiple gold stripes on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
the one.
I'm driving down Herb Street to St. Agatha. Yeah. And it's at night, about 9:30, 10 o'clock. And there's this massive snapping turtle on the road. And I've rescued a few.
We've come across a few too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This one was big. So I decided to get out of the car. And I go up to the snapping turtle. It was funny because 2 days before that, I was online figuring how do you get a snapping turtle off the road? Like, where do you grab it? Like, it was like, hey, I get to test it out. So I'm like,
where do you grab it?
You want to grab 3/4 from behind. If you go from the front, their necks are too long, and they'll try to take a finger off.
Okay, I think we went from the middle, but you should.
Yeah, you want a little more to the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So he's kind of covered with like slime and stuff, and so
swamp life.
Yeah, yeah. So I go to pick him up, but he shivers his body and he slips out of my hands. He kept doing it. So I had an old beat up gi top. So I got that out and I tried to grab with that. He actually ripped it apart. And then I'm like, geez, I'm struggling with this thing. And then I had we do weapons, a 6-foot staff. I had a 6-foot staff. Yeah. So I come out and I'm trying to get him with a stick. And then all of a sudden my gi lights up. Like it's getting really bright. I look, there's cars backed up on either side. Yeah. And there's a guy standing there with a Tim Hortons cup. He's like, you need any help? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, I think I got this. He goes, all right. And then he gets back in his car. And then I got the stick underneath him and I start rolling him like a wheel. And I'm like, hey, this is working. And then he rolled down the hill. And I could hear this like, cowabunga, you know,
but into the ditch, like where he'd probably be comfortable.
Well, that's right. He was heading that way. So I want to make sure, you're supposed to, the direction they're going. And then I hear this applause coming from either side, and I get back into the car, and my son goes, I can't believe you did that. Like, and I said, why weren't you out there helping me? He goes, I was just shocked that you were doing this. But anyway, back to my job.
You're a brand ambassador. No, you're a brand ambassador is somebody on
Sensei.
on Instagram. You're a brand
coach. Yes.
I'm going to do that again. Yeah. So you're a brand coach.
Correct. I've been in the advertising business since 83. Mm-hmm. And back at about 89, I said, I can do this on my own. And I opened up my own agency. And it was going pretty good there. Like we did all kinds of advertising, manufacturers, all this. If you go to Terminal 3 Airport, all the digital displays, for about the ticket lines, we did all the motion graphics.
Yeah. Awesome.
So we did some cool stuff. But I've always told my clients, hey, you should always focus like on a particular market or ideal client, And they're like, yeah, right. And they would get success out of that. And then I realized I never did that for myself. So I looked at where do I do my best work, where do clients get the best results. And it was financial advisors. I loved hearing their stories about how they help people And I figure if you got a good financial advisor, you're going to be 40% more wealthier in a lifetime. Like there's some just really good statistics. And, I figured they help communities, they help the country and all that, So I thought I'm going to focus on them. So I teamed up with a company called The Personal Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they are business coaches. And they help advisors in about 14 different areas, from succession planning to productivity to leadership, team building. Like they just cover the whole gamut. And one of them is branding. And so that's what I do. So what I do is I help financial advisors build compelling stories and build a strong culture within their organization and focus on who their ideal client is and how to get more of them and so forth through all the different touch points and tactics, and right down to like, what's your voicemail like? What's the smell of the office? Like it's the total experience.
It's a lot of time talking with the people in charge, let's say, if
Yeah.
it's a bigger place. And like
Usually
really just
smaller
trying
boutique firms.
It
firms,
usually is, yeah.
Yeah, usually like maybe 10. Yeah.
And so out of those amount of people, I'm just curious myself, maybe 3 of them you're sitting down with, or are you sitting with the entire group?
It varies.
Mm-hmm.
It's either the decision makers or the whole team. Sometimes the advisor wants the whole team involved.
I'm just picturing a lot of conversations around tables where you're like, tell me who you are, tell me what you do.
I get right down to their childhood and everything, and I look for all these kind of golden nuggets. Yeah, like I got one client. He moved to Moose Jaw. Really didn't know a lot of people there. Wanted to start a firm. One of our coaches worked with him and really helped him out. And he was telling me about. I started out with these questions going back to his childhood, and his father had passed away, and so he felt he needed to help the family out. So he started cutting grass and started to build his little business up. So the entrepreneur was born, but out of passion. And ended up selling the business to an NHL hockey player when he was 16 years old. So he made money to get him through university and everything. But the one thing he said was, when I was 11 years old, I needed to reward myself once in a while because trying to keep his grades up, working. And so he'd go to this corner store and he'd buy a bag of Blue Whale gummies.
Yeah.
And he just pound these things. I remember those because I worked in a corner store when I was 13.
Yeah.
So I said, we're going to call your company Blue Whale.
Perfect.
And he said, you're insane. We're not doing that. And then we talked about the opportunities. He's now in the top 10 advisors in Canada.
Yeah.
And he can be
within 2
passionate
years.
about his brand and his name.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You can identify with it.
Right. And of course, his company delivers the promise because we coach them on doing that. And he's very articulate and he's very coachable. So it's not just the branding; it's the whole thing. But branding plays a part of success. So that's what I do.
Then you go home, you grab dinner, you run over to the St. Louis Auditorium, you strip down to your underwear in the bathroom, put your gi on,
Pretty much.
and you teach.
Yeah, because I
I
work
could
at
have just seen the facial expressions that are in everybody when we sit
I know
underwear.
that everybody's trying to imagine. Okay, there's Fortune in his underwear, then putting on his gi.
No, but I would see you guys come in. You know what I mean? It
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like you're all coming from your day,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
workplace. You go, you change,
Yeah,
and within minutes
And
you're in that.
that's right.
Yeah.
And so the whole branding thing, friendship, cooperation, and learning. When I touch the door, that's who I have to be. I have to be that. If I'm not that, then
Yeah,
it
you
won't
can't
go
bring
well.
your day in through that door.
No, that's our culture.
I find with the dojo, the respect starts the moment you walk into that building,
Yeah.
and there's a certain way that you even walk through the doorway.
Yeah.
See, a lot of
we-
people don't have that. Sorry,
No.
I don't mean to talk over you.
No,
but
yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. They're, especially now, because a lot of us are working from home or from our phones,
Yeah.
or a lot of people have a side hustle, that isn't necessarily not for profit. And the day doesn't end, right? They're carrying that day with them all the time. The phone is dinging, the emails are
Yeah.
coming in. Even if it's on social media, you might be connected with work buddies. Like, it's always going on. So
Yeah, if I were to be a motivational speaker, which I really hate, I don't know, it would be that, know what those traits are when you open the door to something. So if it's, for me, the Karate Club, cooperation, friendship, and learning. For work, confidence, focus, and freedom. For home,
for home, when you open your front door,
yeah, I'm going to yell at my kids. Is that what it is? But, what is that?
Yeah,
and if
what
you
is it?
remind yourself that, you'll be a little bit better.
yeah.
If you don't do that, you'll just kind of live in the past or future, and you won't be present to
Right.
your environment.
Can we wrap up with that idea of how when you enter the dojo and when you leave the dojo, you essentially bow with respect? I can see how a lot of people may not get it at first or understand it new to the dojo.
You just
but-
kind of do it mechanically.
yeah, but can you talk about what you're doing when you, like, I imagine you would do it even if there's nobody around to see you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bow is like a Japanese handshake. basically, and it's a, but more so, where here in North America we shake hands. It's just more an introduction. They have a respect element to it. So if I'm bowing to Sensei, I would typically bow lower to show my respect. And sometimes he might go a little bit lower, and then I have to go a little bit lower. There's a little kind of game there, but
It's fun.
but I think when you bow, it's your time to take that time to set yourself up to who you're going to be when you train, and the people that you're going to be training with. So it's not
I
like
acknowledge you. I'm here.
Yeah.
And gratitude
I'm
for
gonna-
this time.
I'm going to put my best effort forward. I'm going to respect the people that are teaching me, I'm training with. I could make up a whole bunch of stuff, but it's just kind of reflect. Stop. You just left your day outside, and now you're coming in. You're doing something new, and then you bow when you leave. Now you want to take all of that knowledge and bring it out there. Because if you just do karate all the time, it's useless. You need to bring it into your life, what you've learned from it. And I would say that's probably for anything.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get those parallels and try to make yourself better every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's wonderful.
Cool. Did I inspire you guys?
I'm very inspired to set aside specific times, which I know we're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah.
This is work. This is play.
Yeah.
This is family. And it's very hard not to mix those all
Oh, it's
together
hard.
all the time.
It's hard.
I'm definitely mixing it. And I've said this before on this podcast. I mean, you're doing them all the time, or for myself, I'm doing all these things all the time. And if you don't step back and take those breaks, you're not doing any of them well.
Yeah.
You're just doing.
It's always good to have somebody hold you accountable,
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard to do it on ourselves. Do it ourselves.
When I think about your dojo, I think about how these things have momentum, right? And somewhere along the way, sometimes they fall apart for whatever reason.
Sure.
And there's things you can't even tell what's happening and why. But it must feel so amazing to have something so healthy as your Grand River Karate at 26 years and a community. I guess maybe 100 members at times, or up to 100.
We a long time ago, yeah. I'd say, I don't know, we're probably around 60.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not out there trying to promote and get
No.
It's
we used to have a very
self-promoting.
the kids program is, wow, we get a lot of parents and kids.
Yeah.
And then they kind of move into the adult class. But
So there are classes for old ladies like me.
oh yeah, we have people joining in their, I know you're much younger, but we like people in their 50s join.
Yeah.
Not that much younger.
Yeah.
Karate's for everybody.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of fun. And when I don't think about, the only time I think about the benefits is if I'm like away on vacation and I'm not training as much, and then I feel like, hey, my body's kind of like,
Yeah.
and then I go, oh yeah, I was in pretty good shape there, because you can get out of shape real quick.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
or just I feel off.
Do
I
you still-
actually get miserable when I don't train.
Same. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't train. Sorry, I exercise.
But you know what I mean.
But I am miserable. Like sometimes my husband will be like, "You need to get to the gym," and it's not in the mean way. It's just in that you need to go blow
Yeah.
off some steam and
Yeah.
remember who you are. Sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I feel so lucky to have had this Sara with you. All those
Yeah.
years that we spent at the dojo, you were always in motion. And if I did get to talk to you, it was just for a few seconds, really.
I enjoy teaching your kids. They're
Yeah.
awesome kids. How are they doing?
They're doing great.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Tell them I said hello.
Thanks. Sylvia would like to return sometime too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to try it. I think.
Yeah.
Even if you just want to try it out.
You obviously haven't seen the push-ups and sit-ups workout at the beginning.
No, I haven't, but I know that those are things that I need to do.
Yeah. And jumping jacks.
Yeah. Yeah. And a
Did you-
bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
God awful burpees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The short
Well,
answer is yes, Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of gas? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Thank you, Forge.
Thank you.
My
so
pleasure.
much.
It was fun
so much
talking
for
with you
coming.
guys. And
Me too.
it's awesome what you guys are doing. I'm
Thanks.
looking forward to your other podcasts.
I'm bowing to Forge.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Is it
Arigato.
appropriate for us to do that if we're not in the dojo?
Yes, you have to.
Oh,
You have to.
we know, okay.
bow to me.
I am now bowing.
And then you have to say, arigato gozaimasu.
Hey all, thanks for meeting us in Bonn Park. Please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on the platform that you're listening to. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bonn Park Podcast. Original music by Alan Lung.